Good morning. I'm starting a little project this morning. It's going to be another project in bits and pieces. We're going to try to make a ball crank handle for the Taig Micro Lathe. They just got a regular 1/4-inch aluminum round handle on there, or wheel on there. So we're going to try to make a ball crank handle, make it a little more balanced. I chucked up a piece of cast iron in there. I turned a spigot on each end. The whole thing is going to be 2.5 inches long. So I'm starting off with a piece, it's going to be 2 1/4 inches long. So I'm starting off with a piece 3 1/4 inches long. I turned a 1/2 inch spigot on each end so I can chuck it up, and so I'm going to, right now I'm going to turn the main body down to the largest diameter, which is 0.656. Then I'm going to step it down to the next diameter, which is 0.515, and the next diameter is 0.421 or 422. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do, and so I'm in the process now. I've turned the spigot on each end, and I'm turning the main body down to 0.656. So I'm just this will be the first little segment, and we're just going to break this into segments. I'm going to turn the camera off and on as we go along here, and so you can get the idea of the whole process in doing this. We're going to form the balls. I'll be grinding form tools for the 3 balls. So that's 6 different forms that I'll need to grind to create the balls. And then we'll just cut the spigots off in the end and finish off the ends. So also, before we cut the spigots off, we'll put it in the mill and we'll drill whatever holes and flats we need to put on it. So that said, we're going to begin work, and so I'm going to shut the camera off. Most of these tasks are pretty mundane. Once I get the steps cut in here, I'll take it out and put it on camera. You'll be able to see what it looks like, but it's pretty simple, pretty mundane. So we won't show a lot of machining, if any. But we're going to show the process anyway. So anyway, I'm going to shut the camera now and bring you back when we get to the next step. Okay, it's been a few minutes. I got the steps put in. By the way, I've got a bunch of drawings that I did in AutoCAD. You probably can't see them, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, there's a bunch of drawings I did in AutoCAD to figure out all the dimensions. There is a lot of dimensions and a lot of things to know, although this whole thing isn't rocket science, It doesn't have to be exactly right, but it's good to get, it's good to start off that way anyway. And so now I'm going to place some grooves on each side of each ball. So that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4 different grooves, and I'm going to try to make them the correct depth. The inner part between the balls has a 1% taper, so I'm not going to put that in right now. I'm just going to use the largest size right now for the parts in between the balls, and then I'll put the taper in later. I'll set up the compound and do that with 1%. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Like I say, this is not rocket science. I'm just showing you the procedure basically. So I've left it chucked up. I have a spigot on each end I mentioned before, and the spigot on this end is chucked into 3-jaw, and then I got the center on the other end. And by the way, this is just typical cast iron, so that's what I'm making it out of. I don't know if I mentioned that before. So anyhow, that's where I'm at, so I'm going to go ahead and start putting the grooves in. So that's just another simple task. So let's call this another segment, and we'll move on, and I'll bring you back for the next segment. Okay, back again. I've now removed the material between the balls. So pretty simple task. I just used a I guess you'd call it a parting tool. I went in the right depth, and I've just removed the material out of there. So there's a slight taper to those areas in there, but I'll do that later. At this point, I think I'm going to have to. This whole thing has taken a couple hours, by the way. So to this point, and I got some errands to run. So I think I probably have to come back to this a little bit later. But the next step will be to grind up some forming tools and start forming the radiuses on the balls. So that's a little bit time consuming. I probably do have some tool bits that are sort of halfway there that I've used for other radiuses, so I'll dig around in my my HSS tool bit stuff and see if I can find what I need, and get down here on the bench grinder and see if I can get some of that done. So that'll be the next step. So I'll bring you back when we get to that point, and at that point maybe we'll throw in a little machining. But basically it's just putting the forming tool in the tool holder and feeding it in. If we get the forming tools ground right, should be a piece of cake. So at that, I'm going to call off again, and we'll be back for the next little segment. Thank you for watching. Okay, we're going to begin the next little segment here, and we're not going to show much on camera, I don't think, but I got I put in the forming tool holder, okay, that I built. You can see that in another video if you're interested. I ground up hope you can see this in the camera. I ground up a tool. It's just a 5/16 inch square HSS piece of steel. I have a radius gauge, okay, and I just ground the proper radius, which is right around 1/4 of an inch on that tool, and then I ground the point off so it's the right depth, and I'm going to insert it in the tool holder now, and we're going to cut the first radius. And we got a bunch of these tools to do, and I've blued up some more tool blanks here. So we've got a left and a right for each one of the balls. So that's 6 of them, right? So you know, we just have to do what we have to do, and I don't know where my, oh, here it is. So I think this thing is already at the right height. I'm pretty sure. We may have to adjust the height, I don't know. Need to get that everything good and tight. There's a little bit of force during the forming process. Generally, what I like to do is this is ground pretty close, so I should be able to just set the edge of this up and go for it. So we'll see. I usually set the stop. That's what I put some pressure against. And we don't need any oil because it's cast iron. And we want to go pretty slow. And we want to feed it pretty slow. It may have a little bit too long. The light's not real good over here, so yeah, it's hitting now. I may have to grind off a little bit more of the point, but you get the idea. I'll bring you back for another segment, but that's basically we're going to do that 6 times, right there. So we're going to form 6 or 3 balls. So that's it. Okay, next segment. Same day. I haven't quit yet, but I'm about ready to quit. For the day. So I don't know, hopefully nothing's in the way. Hopefully you can see that. The camera is quite a ways away, so I'm not sure how that shows up. But anyway, I got the balls cut, and it was fairly easy chore actually, except for the large ball, because I only had a 5/16 inch wide piece of HSS, and it wasn't quite wide enough to make a half a ball. So anyway, that I got it done. So you know, took a little fiddling, and then I set the compound over about 1 degree. It's a little hard to tell, but just a little bit strong of 1 degree. And I cut the tapers in between. That was fairly simple, just took a few minutes. The balls actually went really good. The 2 little ones went really good. It was just I had a little problem with the big one. So that's that. It's cast iron, and so a little sandpaper and some Scotch-Brite cleaned it all up pretty good. So now all I got to do is you know, cut off the 2 ends and polish those, and I'll have to work those by hand probably. But anyway, next step will be to I'll probably leave the little spigots on the end for right now, because I'll use those. What I'll do is I'll put it in the little mill over there on the Taig mill with the little rotary table. And I have a tailstock that I can set up to hold it, and then I can mill the flat and drill the holes, and probably, so I'll have to think about that, but I'll put a hole in the center ball to go onto the shaft. I'll have to make an adapter for that. So I'm not sure exactly what size I'll drill that hole. The big ball is a little bit too large, so I need to extend it out just a little bit. So I have to make an adapter. Actually, I have one. Maybe I can just, you know, redo it a little bit. And then for the little ball, I need a hole through there for the handle. So so anyway, that's where I'm at, and so far it's gone along pretty good. I've worked on this thing for probably about 4 hours today, so I've spent some time on it get to this point. But it's been a fairly easy chore, so I may do a little bit more polish work on it and before I take it out of the lathe. Anyway, that's where I'm at, so I'll call off for this segment, and then the next segment will be probably when we get it over on the little Taig mill and get ready to cut the flats, and we'll show you the setup for that. So that's I'll call off now, and we'll get back later, probably tomorrow. Oh, good morning. It's the next day. It's about 11 degrees Celsius out here in the shop, a little bit cool. I came out this morning, it's 8:30 now. I came out this morning and got things set up. So I got the rotary table on one end and with the chuck on it, and I've chucked up one of the spigots on the end of the work. The other side, I have a rotary table that I built a long time ago. Hardly ever use it, but look at here, it comes in handy for this. I think I've only used it 2 or 3 times over the years, but it's a simple deal, and I think I copied something I saw on the internet somewhere, you know, factory built one. So anyway, it's just made out of aluminum, simple deal. Anyway, this is my simpler rotary table. It's hand driven. I have a electronic driven one, but this one is driven by hand. I've just got to move it 90 degrees to drill the holes I need to drill. So I'm going to proceed to get set up, try to get the center hole drilled, the main hole, and then we got to drill a couple holes for grub screws, and also a hole for the handle. So you didn't have a good shot of the workpiece before because of the camera position, and actually I was zoomed in a long ways. I couldn't figure out what to do. The light was on it, and I did look at the video. There was a lot of glare and reflection of the light, so I polished it up with a piece of Scotch-Brite so it reflected the light quite nicely. Anyway, so that's that. We just wanted to show you the setup. This will be a short segment, and then I'll do the drilling, and probably we'll have one more little segment at the end where I fit it up to the to actually fit it to the Taig Lathe carriage. So it's 2 1/4 inches long from ball to ball, end to end. The spigots will be cut off. I'll probably put it back in the lathe and make a little form tool to cut the spigots off. Either that, or I'll just cut them off and work those ends by hand a little bit. The balls aren't perfect, but I think they're going to be just fine, and this will make a nice solid hand wheel. I also might add that my friend in Walter Macy up in Canada, a long time ago, he made a couple little handles for something, and he sent me one. So I have that, and it's ideal for this situation. So I think I'm going to use his little handle, and I may have to make the centerpiece for it again, but pretty simple deal. Anyway, let me zoom in on it a little bit, and so you can see what's going on. So there she be. I got the mill set up. It's not rocket science here. It doesn't have to be super precision. So normally I'd have a collet in the mill, and I may actually put a collet in there. But I need it's easier to have the drill chuck on there. So I've got the drill chuck on there right now, and so maybe I'll just leave that on there. Let me turn the viewer around here so I can see what I'm doing. And well, I guess we're good. So my hand's going to be in the way, I guess, so I'm not going to be able to do this very easily. Here's a little handle that'll go on it right here. If you can see that, let me zoom out a little bit more, I guess. I think this, I guess I'm going to right it side up. So there's a little handle that'll go on it, and I think it's fitting. It's I notice that little handle is half the length of the. It's about 1.25 inches long, and so it's about or 1 1/8 inches, so it's about half the length of the ball crank. And hopefully, I don't know how balanced it'll be, but I'm not sure. But I scaled the dimensions down from a ball crank in the Machinery's Handbook, so that's where I got the dimensions from. I just drew full scale in AutoCAD and then scaled it down 75%. So this is actually the same length as the original the original handle diameter. They were both, it was about 2 1/4 also. So anyway, there you go. That's what it's going to look like, and we'll probably come back with one more segment in the end here. So I'll call off now, and we'll be back with another segment in a little while. Thank you. Okay, this will be another segment, just a very brief segment here. I did one other segment this morning, so I've been out here working at this for a couple hours now. Listen, we've got, I think we've done most of the things that we need to do on the mill. So what I've done is, let's see here, let's zoom in, and I can use my finger here to point. So we've, let's see here. So we've put the handle in place. All we did was took the little pin that was in here. I put a 440 thread on it and a male thread on the end of that. I put a 440 thread into the center of this ball right here. So that's been placed. I drilled the hole in here for the main shaft, and that'll need an adapter. And then I put a grub screw here, and that adapter will have a flat on it. Okay, and then this probably is not going to be the adapter, but this is kind of what it's going to look like. It's got a 1/4 inch bore in it to go onto the existing shaft, and a 3/16 little stub on it, so it'll fit into this hole here. So it needs to be a little bit longer. I need to do either some work on this one or make a new one. But anyway, that's what's going on, and so we're getting close to having a full unit. Well, this thing's going to fall out, right? There it goes. Oh, there you go. So I'm going to break it down now. I'm done on the rotary table anyway. I placed all my threads and I put a flat on this on here. So actually I put a flat with a very, very, very slight recess on it. So that fits up there. That fits up there good. When I zoom in too much, it gets blurry. Anyway, no, that's that. I think the handle's appropriate size. It seems to, balance pretty well. I don't know how it's going to feel when I actually put it on to use it, but there we go. Maybe this, I'll call this my last segment because, you know, or maybe I'll make one more segment and place it on the carriage, but mainly this has been a demonstration on how to make a ball crank on your lathe. So this little ball crank, by the way, can be, I did it on the mini lathe because I'm better set up over there, but this little ball crank can easily, very easily be made on the Taig lathe. So that's no problem. It's just easier for me to work over there, that's all. There is no reason other than that. You know, I have all my tools set up and stuff over there, and the Taig lathe I don't use all the time, so that's the reason for that. But this whole thing can be done on the Taig lathe if somebody that owns a Taig lathe wants a ball crank handle. So that's you can see. Let me swing over to the little lathe. The Taig lathe is sitting right here. Zoom out just a little bit. So you can see the handle that that comes on the Taig lathe. I'm not too keen on it. That's why I'm making a ball crank to go on here. But this is the handle. This is the same exact diameter as the length of this ball crank. So, and you can see this, I made a nice little handle for this also. And I like this much better. I made it out of brass because this one, you know, brass is fairly soft. It's 360 brass. So I could use I just turned it on the lathe with a scribe. So I just like turning a piece of wood on a wood lathe. So that's how I made all the balls on this one. And I could have used the same process as I used on the other one, but this was easy. Just made it out of brass and fairly simple. I made a fixture to go on here so I could set the, you know, set my dial here. I just hold the handle and move this, so I can set the dial any place I need. So anyway, I just wanted to show you this handle is basically the same type of thing, and so these two handles will sort of match each other, except they're made out of different materials. So with that, I'll call off this segment, and maybe we'll put this up on YouTube, or maybe we'll go ahead and make another segment. Call up now. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.